morning. My name is Deb Cordy, and I am the Cub Master for Pack 37 in Worcester. And today I'm going to talk to you about organizing and managing your pack meetings. Pack meetings were actually one of the things that when I joined the pack and became the pack master, they made me a little nervous. Didn't really know my goal, didn't really understand what I was trying to accomplish. Just thought, okay, well, kids need to have fun. But really, pack meetings are more involved um, than just having the scouts play some games. And today we're actually going to break those down. We're going to break down the pack meeting. So there are really three primary goals of your pack meeting. And I got when I was starting out, my previous pack master really helped me, sat me down, and it gave me a template to use going forward for my pack meetings. And really, how he had laid out the pack meeting was really clear. There were three primary goals of the meeting. There was the communication aspect. There was the recognition of the scout achievements, and then there was the fun part. So of course the fun was there and the games were there, but it was really about what do we need to tell our families? How do we make sure that the scouts get recognized for the things that they do? And then, of course, the fun. So when we look at communication, we're really looking at how do we communicate to both the parents and the scouts? Because you have to, as a Cub Scout, you have to really engage those parents. The parents are who you need to talk to. What do the parents need to know about the pack? What do the parents need to understand about these upcoming events? When is it? How is it? What is the logistics? Really, you need to get your parents involved to ensure that they want to participate in these activities. The scout communication is really getting the scouts excited and engaged in the activities of the pack. If the scouts don't want to do it, they will ask their parents to ensure that they can do it. And so the scout communication is really important because you're really building that engagement and excitement for the activities. So now that we know what we're trying to accomplish, now we need to actually look about and how do we plan it. So I have a PowerPoint template that I use, which is included um, in the notes of this meeting, and really it helps me to organize my thoughts. So the first thing I do is I look at my template, or I look at what my plans, and I think, what are the announcements that I need to make to the to the whole to the whole group? What are the pictures? Do I have pictures from previous events between the last PAC meeting and this PAC meeting? Has there been any major events that I can pull pictures from to really thank the families, thank the scouts for participating? What are my upcoming events? Are there things that I need to announce to the families? Are there things that I need to remind families of to ensure that they did schedule out those events? And then fundamentally, use your den leaders. Ensure that your den leaders are providing their updates as, again, another form of communication so that across the pack, people understand what's happening in the dens. It's really important that that piece gets done. So now, what are my announcements? What are my events? Well, use your annual calendar. Drive your pack meeting based on what is actually happening, what has happened in the last month and the future month. So a month back and a month forward from today. So let your annual calendar drive your meeting. And then sometimes you have to go further out than a month because some things require a significant lead time in planning. But let your calendar drive that. Because you don't want to be talking about something in June or in May. when we started talking about something that's actually scheduled in May, when you're in September, it's too far away. So you really want to make sure that you are using the time that you have in front of you wisely. Also, make sure the dens get involved. There are really opportunities for dens to participate in helping to drive the PAC meetings. Ensure your leaders get involved. There are, of course, opportunities for your leaders to become involved in the PAC meetings. So what are those things? What are those things, those monthly activities that you really want to do? So what are those things that you want to communicate? Well, of course, you want to communicate any service projects that you're going to be doing. If you're running a food drive, if you're um, if you're cleaning up a trail, if you're doing any of those things that are typically part of your yearly activities and they're within that time frame, you want to make sure that your families know that they're coming. Communicate any hikes, any upcoming hikes. When is the next? Is there a pack hike that you want to make sure that people are scheduling into their days and into their months and into their schedules? Absolutely, we want to make sure people are aware of that. Any camping or overnight activities, the overnights especially are the ones you need to make sure that they have sufficient schedule for. But you don't want to just throw that on them, a week or two before the actual event. You need to make sure that they have you're scheduling that 1 or 2 months in advance so that they can plan it into their schedule, get their time off work if necessary, and make sure that they can manage that overnight or camping event. And then fundamentally, you have your big pack events, right? Your big pack events drive a pack meeting. Use those pack events as a pack meeting. So it's the background to a pack meeting. You have your blue and gold. You have your derbies. You have your ceremonies. Those big pack events actually are pack meetings, and they use those activities to drive communication. So again, what are the critical activities? What are those the current month, next month? What are those things that you really need to think about when you're putting your pack meeting together? So the next level of detail. So it's really the next level of detail we're talking about here. Driving into the specifics of what you want to talk about. First and foremost is, where will it be? Will you be on a field at a school or on a public field where you won't have audiovisual equipment? Will you be in your church hall or in the location of your normal den meetings where you will have audiovisual equipment? Where will it be? That helps drive what you're going to do and how you're going to work through these details. Again, using your annual calendar, let the calendar drive your activities. So you really want to put a theme towards every PAC meeting. It helps you plan. It also helps you plan your games, and it helps you plan for what you need, how you need to structure your day. So let the actual calendar drive your PAC calendar, and then drive your activities. And let the PAC events help drive your planning. So, as examples, in September, we always do a recruiting event and we always run popcorn. So, drive your PAC meeting around those two things. In October, we do a trail cleanup, and we also have, obviously, the Halloween holiday. The Scouts love dressing up for Halloween. So run a Halloween party around your October PAC meeting. In November, the Veterans Day holiday, we always do the Veterans Day parade as part of one of our events. But also, we have a PAC meeting, and that PAC meeting ties through the Veterans Day parade through things like writing letters to soldiers. You can see in February, we run through, our PAC meeting becomes our blue and gold. In March, our PAC meeting becomes our Pinewood Derby. This year, our crossover was in April. again, it become a pack meeting. And then in May, we'll have our rank achievements. So it really driving the themes and driving the structure of your pack through your pack meetings, knowing it becomes a cycle and really allows you to understand um, the seasons of your um, of your pack. So now the meeting structure. Um, Typically, we would have a flag ceremony. We would then, once the flags are done, and we would do obviously the pledge and the scout oath and the scout law and the scout motto. Then we have time for, well, Deb starts to talk for a little while. You have your announcements, you have your upcoming events, we talk about camp. And so all of those things go through you have your 20 minutes of talking. Unfortunately, it's not the most interesting part for the scouts, but it is important because that's the point at which you're talking and building your enthusiasm for those upcoming events. In that first 20 minutes as well, you also have the leaders provide their updates. What have they done in their dens from the last pack meeting to now? That's your best source of den information. And then we break for an activity. So depending on the size of our pack, we might break into 2 to 3 activities, 2 games, and an art or service project, table-based activity. And then after that, we'd come back together, come back to the front, and then we'd give away the scout achievements. That's about 10 minutes. So our pack meetings generally are between 60 to 75 minutes per meeting, depending on how the kids and the scouts are really enjoying the activities or whether they're starting to drift away. You can really gauge when you want to pull the achievement piece back together by watching how the scouts are interacting in the games. So the second part of what the importance of a pack meeting are really about recognizing the scout achievements. We were just talking about the den updates. The den leaders are really the best source of your information about the den. What has the den been up to between the last meeting and this meeting? They really, those updates really provide insight into the future years for parents. So if you're a lion lead, if you're a lion parent or a tiger parent, you want to say, well, what is next year going to look like? So maybe I should actually pay attention to the wolf update or as a wolf parent, knowing what the bears are up to. Oh, my son is going to learn how to use a knife next year. Oh, my son is going to learn how to use some tools next year, because as the advancement goes up, so do the skills, as we all know. So the Arrow of Light leader could talk about the fact that they built birdhouses. The Webelow leader here can talk about the fact that those Webelows learned how to prepare food. They went to the West Side Barbecue, prepared food, and learned food safety. So it's all about what are the scouts learning? Because during the actual belt loop distribution, we're just talking about the actual belt loop. Don't actually go into any detail about what happened to earn that belt loop. So these den updates are really where you get a little bit more detail in terms of what does that entail? Oh, we carved structures out of soap for our to earn our whittling chip. We built a toolbox, and we built a boat for our Baloo the Builder. Those are the kinds of things that we want to talk about in our den leader updates. The other portion of recognizing scout achievements is not just what happened at the den, and in the den. It's also about what are those special scout achievements. So some scouts go above and beyond just what's happening in the den to really drive their activities and their engagement within the organization. So what has those individual scouts done to um, to achieve a a recognition, earning a religious medal at their level, um, winning the council patch contest. So this year we were actually able to um, provide out both of these things. We've had a couple of scouts that earned the religious medal um, during the year, but also um, we had a scout that actually entered and won the council scout the patch contest. And so not only did we recognize his achievement of winning, but every one of our scouts received one of these patches so that everyone could um, participate in his achievement. So it was a great way to bring that communication and that recognition to to Andrew, who won, at the same time making sure that everyone was proud of him because they all got to wear that patch. So as we've been talking, it's really an opportunity to give out your achievements. And so the achievements at the rank level or at the belt loop level. It's really giving away the belt loops, um, but also the rank advancements. So your pack meetings really, it's all about this. This is where um, recognizing the scouts, recognizing their achievements, giving them their recognition of the belt loops as well as their ranks is really the culmination of why they're here. Um, to learn and to grow and to build on all these skills they're learning. And so um, these ceremonies are really fundamental to making sure that the scouts are engaged in the activities. I bring up the ceremonies like the Arrow of Light crossover and really engaging the rest of the pack in that ceremony. Um, Luckily, this year the outdoor numbers were increased at a time that we were actually allowed, and we could bring the whole pack together to celebrate the Arrow of Light crossing over, because it is important that again that younger scouts see the older scouts um, moving on and becoming Boy Scouts and becoming moving into the next rank. So it's really important that we spend the time and carve out time to really recognize this. And as part of the pack meeting, whether that's an individual pack meeting where you're just giving a belt loop out or having a ceremony strictly around an advancement, it is truly important that this happens. And it's not just behind the curtains. It's the recognition. It's the it really engages the scouts in the fact that they have achieved something. The second piece, the additional piece when we talk about scout involvement is really having the dens become involved in the pack meeting. So there are a number of requirements within each rank that have an option to teach the pack a game or to do something for the pack or to show the pack or present to the pack. Um, work with your den leaders. Work with your den leaders to ensure that um, they can put something and help you drive an activity within the pack. If they have something that they would like to, so ask your den leaders. Ask your den leaders if there's something that they want to participate in the pack meeting with. Make sure that you have that communication. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's gonna. Sometimes that's not where they want to participate, or that they've done these requirements in a different way. But if they have the opportunity, they may want to do this. So please involve your den leaders in 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 the planning of the pack meeting because they can, and in some cases may be willing to help. drive a portion of the PAC meeting. So even if they don't have a take a piece, um, how do we get just in general the scouts involved in the PAC meetings? Well, the first and foremost and the easiest way is the flag ceremony. We typically rotate our flag ceremony through each den. So we have our PAC meeting once a month, and generally we do start with the older dens because they know and have been through it before. But we rotate the flag ceremony through each den. So in September, in our September PAC meeting, we might ask the Arrows to do the flag ceremony. In the October PAC meeting, we may then move to the Webelos, et cetera, and really have the scouts manage the flag ceremony. And of course, bring that through even down through the younger dens, obviously with more help as the dens get younger, because in some cases the lions may not be strong enough to hold the flag, so that then their parents may need to help them bring the flags in. But we do want to make sure that everybody gets involved in participation within the PAC meeting. We want to thank the scouts and their families for their involvement in the events. As we said earlier, show pictures of the events. Really show them at these events. Show them that you had pictures of them, recognizing that they were there. Cleaning, and then engage the scouts in the event discussion. Who had fun at the trail cleanup? What did we find? Who found the most interesting thing? How many golf balls did we find? Use the activity to really drive the conversation. They love talking. They don't want to just sit and listen to you talk, just like you don't want to listen to me talk. Use the interaction with the scouts as to drive your conversation. Who's gone to camp? What part did you like? What was your favorite piece of summer camp last year? Who's going back? When you talk about your overnight, guess where we're having our overnight this year? What's going on? And what cool, exciting thing are we going to go learn? What are the popcorn sales, and how do you engage your top sellers in their popcorn sales during the popcorn sale? Provide those opportunities to have those kids get recognized for their sales and the fact that they're really driving the fundraising for your PAC that year. Really help drive and get the kids again engaged in what you're talking about, engaged in the activity, engaged in the event. And then the third functionality of your PAC meeting is really to have fun. Again, I typically split our activities into 3, depending on the size of the PAC. Really, 10 to 12 scouts per activity is probably maybe even a little on the high side, but this really depends on what the activity is. Engage your leaders, your den chiefs, your parents to assist in the oversight of those activities. You personally cannot be in 3 places at any one time. And then it also, while these games are going on, it gives you the opportunity and gives parents the opportunity to talk to you, if necessary, about some of the activities, things that you may not be able to talk about, in a presentation style. So it gives you the opportunity to actually talk one-on-one with parents. So you don't want to be running these activities. You want to have downtime. You want to be able to talk to the parents. Each meeting activity, I typically have a table activity and then 2 games, really allowing the scouts to use different skills. So it's not all about running. It's not all about physical activity. You have a table-based activity, art, coloring, writing, some sort of a craft. And then you have the 2 games, because you really want the scouts. Not every scout likes to jump or run or do something like that. So you have the opportunity for them to be a little bit more creative with the table-based craft. So now the table activities. Use your table activities to drive your journey to excellence. The, figure out where you can do a service event. Put little service events into your PAC meetings. Give yourself some opportunities to earn those service events. Service events don't have to be these big, giant things like a food drive or a trail cleanup that requires extra time. You could do a service event in your PAC meeting. Know that the Scouts are doing a service event. Talk to them about what they are going to be doing and really driving and why they're doing what they're doing. So it's really managing the activity to the theme, right? So from a service event perspective, in November, we write thank you letters to veterans. And then we put them in a box and I mail them out. In February, Scouts can write Valentines for long-term care facilities. Put them in a box and then drop them off at a facility near you. You can use those activities as a service event for your journey to excellence. But not every meeting has to be a service event. So when we do we've done popcorn tasting tables and voting on what's the best popcorn. We've made skeletons out of Q-tips. We have costume parades. We've made ornaments. So really, again, managing the craft or the table-based activity to the theme of the night, and really helping them to drive an understanding of what we're doing. We're just having fun. We're just doing a craft, or are we doing something that is a little bit more meaningful and will make someone else's day. Like I said, this is the difference between a big service project here and a little service project. When we dropped those Valentines off at the long-term care facility, they were very appreciative that we thought of them. And so, it does brighten someone's day when you do something even as small as writing out a bunch of happy Valentine's Day Valentines. Now the games. If you're new to being a PAC leader or Cub Master, ask your den leaders what have been successful in the past. Typically, there's a set of games that the Scouts just love, right? And they get so into. So use the history. Look in your PAC closet for games. We have a shelf full of games. There's stuff in there that you can use and really try to drive through to drive your activities. Again, aligning the games to the theme of the night, right? So we always in our events when we're out on the out playing, do a tug of war. Scouts versus scouts, scouts versus leaders, leaders and and then parents get involved. It's just a load of fun. Helicopter is one of the most successful games in our PAC. The kids just love it. If I could pull helicopter out, if they would want me to pull helicopter out every PAC meeting, just in general, they just find this game to be the best thing ever. And it's jumping. It's just jumping over a thing wrapped in tape. It is so much fun. So we have different things. We have a marble run that you use foam pieces. And we run the foam pieces from the back of the hall to the front of the hall. And they work together as a pack, because all of the dens have to work together to put this thing together. For Halloween, instead of just cleaning the room with socks, we use sock ghosts. So we have different different boxes of things in our closet that you can use to really mix up the games. So they're not, even though the game might be the same, it's slightly different. Um, but find those things that your scouts really enjoy, and don't overuse them, but make sure that you pepper them in on a fairly regular basis. So in conclusion, PAC meetings are really for communication and building enthusiasm for the PAC events, recognizing what the scouts have done and what they will do and what they're in the middle of doing, and then fundamentally having fun. All about having fun. So now you're sitting here thinking, it's all well and good that you're telling me that I have a PowerPoint template and I need to do this, that, or the other, and it's so much easier when you have, you're in your, this is what you do in your church hall. And I will agree with you that this, that all of what I've said so far has been, how have I organized this when I'm in my church hall? But I will tell you, we've still had PAC meetings this year, even though we haven't been in the church for over a year, because we have organized PAC hikes. Once a month, we do a PAC hike since the year of COVID has started. And some of them are small hikes, about a mile. Some of them are larger hikes, 3.5 miles. But we have done PAC hikes. And what do we do before we start our PAC hike? We have a communication. We have the communication of the upcoming events and the dates, and reminding people that these events are coming. We have our scout recognition, give away the achievements, recognizing what the different DENs have done over the past year, over the past month. It's really about, we still give out the achievements. And then fundamentally, then we go on our hike and we have fun. So same 3 bullets in a different structure, in a different manner, outside. Really being able to drive that enthusiasm for the PAC, for the activities in a different way. Now, when I'm talking about the communication, just remember, different people like to be communicated in different ways. So some people might get all their information from the email, but some people like to hear it, what happened and what the communication is, through a verbal communication. So it's really important, even if you are outside, even if you are doing a hike, before you start, actually do that, take that 5 to 10 minutes and do that communication. Do that communication. We start every hike with our flag ceremony. We don't have our flags, but we do the Pledge of Allegiance, the Scout Oath, the Scout Law, and the Scout Motto. So we have the same structure. We have the same structure for that we've just talked about in our PAC meetings on a hike. And to be honest, I've had some people say, we need to keep these up, even if we go back into this church. People are liking that kind of activity. They like the hike, they like the opportunity to get outdoors, and they like the fact that we are still being able to manage these 3 goals, despite the fact that most of our DEN meetings have been over Zoom. So it's really about, again, recognizing the scouts, allowing the scouts to have fun, and fundamentally building the enthusiasm for the next event where they're going to have fun again. So drive your communication, drive your scout achievement, and really recognizing and make sure that your scouts are having the time of their life. So as I said, there's a template for a PowerPoint in the notes. I'm going to also a template for a PAC calendar in the notes. I know there's a session about the PAC calendar, but really driving a couple of options for you in order to help you kickstart your planning for your PAC meetings. So good luck. I hope you have the best year upcoming, and enjoy your planning. Thank you.